Alright guys, welcome to VALORANT News. The regular season matches are done in the VCT Americas. That means the playoff bracket has been officially confirmed, and a fascinating bracket at that. We have two number one seeds in the two respective groups. How will they sit as this tournament concludes? How are 100 Thieves going to get on? Where do Cloud9 potentially come into the discussion? Do MIBR now have a very good chance still to qualify for the World Championship? And what are all the combinations that will require your favourite team to make it to the World Championship as well? What's going to happen over the coming days? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. As I say, we've got a lot to get into today and explain. Pro City's back, by the way. This is actually great to see. Zekin says, Pro City, my beloved. There was, plenty that could be watched as well last night with all these matches going on. So that was nice to see as well, given the problems that continue in ranked play in Valorant right now. Let's talk about the Pacific. Rossi was there. Thought this was pretty funny, right? Because this picture was doing the rounds, and, well, Rossi says it was just a good angle, but I think he might have been posing a little bit here with the right bicep. And Zelda says, are you blasting the gear? Rossi says, nah, it's just a good angle, but there might be a bit of tread in there as well. So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. But let's talk about the APAC region, because the playoffs continued yesterday and got to the point where now all that is left is the final parts of the playoffs. This is just one of those APAC rounds of all time, right? We've got the knife versus knife. We've got Monyet here versus DH on the T1 side. And look, at this point, T1 looked to be at a pretty good spot to go ahead and win this series. I mean, look, imagine if they win this round, it could have been a different story. But RRQ, they won the pistol. They got to 7-6. He got out of the spike as well. And then, well, the series concludes. This has actually happened before that. This was Frost absolutely fuming. Now, I think for Talent it's frustrating because they are still, but they were also still, one series away from making it to the World Championship. If they beat Paper X, they would have made it. They lost to Paper X, but it was a winnable, like, they'll feel like it was winnable, right? And Frost was absolutely molded. He was fuming in the post-match press conference. He hadn't been this angry after a loss. Performance was unacceptable, so I'm pretty pissed off. Now, Talent can still make it. They're going to have to beat RRQ to make it to the World Championship. We'll see how that's going to transpire here in a second. But yeah, pretty remarkable, really. Frost wasn't happy. Would have been much less stressful for Talent just to somehow beat Paper X yesterday, and then they would have made it no problem. But now they do have a lot of pressure on their shoulders over the next couple of weeks of practice before the playoffs get underway in Tokyo. This is a great story as well. We know that Crazy Guy has been through plenty of drama recently, but in 2023, he gave away his Ascension winnings to charity, and his Stage 2 prize winnings that he's, like his personal ones, that he's going to win in Stage 2, he's also going to give away to charity as well. So I thought that was just a really nice story to see. Did this back in 2023, as you guys can see, and apparently it's going to be happening again. So W Crazy Guy, which is not something that I thought I'd be saying over the last couple of seasons. Let's talk about this then, because we've got T1 RRQ, and RRQ got the 2-1 dub. This is the Haven that we talked about. Eventually it went to a 15-13. If that pistol round went differently, it could have been a very different story. T1 is still going to be there at the World Championship. They still qualified, but they do lose when it matters here in the playoffs. And RRQ, as I've said, T1, the final hope of the Korean region, all of a sudden, it's Southeast Asia who are making the run in the Pacific, and this is therefore what the bracket currently looks like. So there's only 2 more games to come. They're going to be played in Tokyo, right? In the finals of that region rather shortly. Talon RRQ, the winner, well, RRQ have already qualified, but Talon, if they win, if they make it to the grand finals, they will qualify instead of DRX by making it through. But if Talon were not to make it, then RRQ would make it, and well, probably Paper X are going to win anyway, but Talon's World Championship qualification still very much up in the air right now. But it's Paper X, it's RRQ, and it's Talent. Pretty remarkable. Those are your 3 teams, top 3 in the Pacific playoffs. There was also some follow-up on Patmen's visa. So we know that he talked about this the other day. So he's got his Tokyo visa. That's fine. He's going to be able to go and play for Paper X in Tokyo to finish off the finals in, right at the end of August, as we know. But potentially he could be in a predicament because he's trying to get his Schengen visa for Paris. So the Schengen area zone in Europe where there's like free travel and all that. So to get the visa for Europe so he can go to Paris, he doesn't want to leave the country because, if he leaves, then it's going to potentially affect the visa process. So at the end of the day, what matters more? Making sure that Patman is ready to go for Champions, or getting him out to Tokyo and playing the grand finals with him? if Paper X have to make the sacrifice of leaving Patmen behind, going to Tokyo and playing that event without him, they will probably do that, right? Which might even have another surprising upset result. We shall see on that one. Let's talk about the Americas, though, because these were the big talking points of last night, and especially with regard to championship points and what that looks like. Because to be honest, in the Americas, it's absolute chaos. G2 and Sen have got so many points they've qualified anyway, but as a result of them having so many points, no one else has very many, which means that there are so many possible permutations. So, Era says G2 versus C9. Baby Bay, look at him go. Baby Bay on the chamber, 21 in 12, and G2 take the 2-0 win. Cloud9... It's Oxy and friends, isn't it, right? Like, these guys haven't been good for a long time. And the other issue is, for Cloud9, is usually in the regular season, that's where they're actually good. In the playoffs, they're fraudulent. But this time, they're just not very good anyway. So, I mean, they're going to cook up probably a big stinker when they get to the playoffs. But who knows? I don't know. Anyway, Baby Bay, what a performance. And I still am a little bit confused. Like, when's Leaf returning? Because presumably they're putting Leaf in for the playoffs, right? You would think. Give Leaf a bit extra time to chill, to relax and everything. This might be Baby Bay's last series with the team. It might not be. But if it was, he certainly went out with a bang. They won the Ascent 13-8. The latest then was 13-9. Again, Baby Bay holding his own here on the Viper this time around. Oxy tried his best. Then it was GG's, right? So, it wasn't absolutely super crushing, but like on the second side of the Lotus, it was always looking like it was going to be G2 for the win. And Baby Bay, top frags, well, doesn't top frag technically, but top ratings anyway, the lobby on his side of the occasion. Of course, Oxy tried his best, but it wasn't to be. G2 get the win. Valen says, damn, we just beat regular season Cloud9. Damn right we're ready for the playoffs. But also, is Baby Bay going to play the playoffs? Is Leaf going to be back in? What's going to happen for the World Championship? Very interesting questions. The other big game yesterday, now this wasn't important as I said yesterday at all in terms of playoffs qualification, but in fact, it could be important in terms of World Championship qualification for MIBR. So it was MIBR Loud yesterday, and whoever won this series, they weren't going to make it through to the playoffs anyway, just because of the way that the tiebreakers were going. But MIBR did get over the line, and it was helped by this moment here from Cortasia. Cortasia found himself in a 1 versus 4. He gets this kill. He eventually gets the second one as well. He kills Pancada here in a second. Drops down to, literally has one bullet in the clip at this point, and he's trying to find Verti. One bullet, takes that bullet, and then goes and picks up the Phantom and clutches up the 1v1 against Pancada as well. Actually picks the Phantom up, he goes back to the Vandal and picks up the clutch for the 13-10. Disgusting clutch, actually. And this could be critical, as I just said, because if we look at the overall results, okay, 2-0, Loud go down, congratulations, didn't mean that much, but MIBR winning this series secure an additional championship point. They won the Icebox 13-11, they won the Sunset 13-10, that puts them now at enough points not to make it to the playoffs, but they get to 9 points in the championship standings. So, and look, I'm not going to pretend that MIBR are good, by the way, right? They were good earlier this season, right? They were third best in the Americas. Right now, they're very far away from third best in the Americas. We look at the overall standings. They finished 5th at 2-3. NRG tops their group, Lev, 100T, Visa Crew, Loud bottoms their group, Furia 0-5, 2G relegated. There is some debate about whether 2G should get relegated. Just to clarify this, if you make the playoffs this stage as a team from Ascension, then you get to at least fight for your spot with the Ascension winner. But if you lose outright, then you just go straight down. So 2G have no chance to even fight for their spot. They just get straight up relegated. You might say that's unfair, and the team that's getting relegated should always be able to fight for their spot. But I think Riot might be right to say that if you're a team that hasn't really done much all year, we would just prefer to bring another team up instead. So I actually don't hate the way that Riot do it, but it does feel a bit bad for the 2G guys. They don't ever get a chance to fight for their spot against the team that's going to replace them. But yeah, someone's going to win Ascension and somebody's going to replace them. So the bracket is like this. Sentinels get the bye in the upper semi-finals. They will play the winner of Liv and Cloud9. I put on the thumbnail C9, but it could very much be Lev because, well, C9 in the playoffs, you know how that sometimes goes. Again, Sen, G2, they would love to win, of course, but gave them momentum, let's say, for the World Championship. It doesn't really matter, right? They're still going to be there at champs anyway. For the other teams, there is a lot more to play for, because if you make it to the grand finals, you qualify, right? If you come top 2 in the playoffs, you qualify guaranteed. And for some of these teams, just getting to maybe third might be enough, because of the championship points they can accrue if other results go their way. Because MRBR, they can't put any more points on the board. They're out of here, right? They can't play at the playoffs. NRG play the winner of G2 and 100 Thieves, so again, you gotta say Godspeed 100T with the bracket that they found themselves here. They play G2 in the first round. If they do win that, they play NRG. Tough games, absolutely. You know, could be 100T down to the losers bracket, trying to make a run immediately. G2 NRG would be, I think, a bit of a banger right now as well. We know that G2 and like G2's records in the Americas recently is insane. They just beat everyone. With Baby Bay, it's a question. With Leaf, you would think, you know, who knows, right? But I'm fascinated to see what G2 do, especially because they want to win, but they've not got as much to play for as some of these other teams have. Could Crew make another miracle run through losers? I wouldn't entirely rule it out. We've seen it before. These are the championship points. G2, 23. Sentinel, 16. They've qualified for sure. MLBR at 9. Crew at 7. Cloud9 at 6. 100 Thieves at 6. NRG at 6. Evil Geniuses at 6. So 2G, Loud and Furia, they're gone, right? They've scored like no championship points, basically. But all the other teams could still potentially make it. That's because either they could qualify, as in they could come seconds, and therefore make it. So for Leviathan, they can't qualify through points. But if they make it to the grand finals, then they will qualify based on placings. So the points are as follows. If you win the playoffs, you get 7 championship points. If you come second in the playoffs, you get 5 championship points. Third gives you 4, and fourth gives you 3. So the point is, if you're on 6 and you place third, you will get to 10. And 10 might be enough points to qualify through points, right? Now, MIBR can't score any more than 9. So they actually have a pretty good chance. Like, MIBR are quite likely to still qualify for the World Championship, even if they might not. I mean, they do deserve it because they played well earlier this year. Right now, they're not the team that I would pick to go to Champions, but they definitely have a good chance the way that it stands. So because it's all so tight here, the other regions are far more competitive at the top, but it means that there's like 4 or 5 contenders for the championship points and everyone else is way behind. Whereas in the Americas, there's 2 teams way ahead and everyone else is really fighting for these final spots. So this was a graphic that Cauliflower Icy put together. So I'm not going to go through all of this, and I've not exactly double checked if all of this is correct. But if you've got a favorite team out of these, have a look. So for example, 100 Thieves. They need, if they make the playoffs, if they come second, if they make the finals, then they qualify, right? They guarantee qualify. But if they get third, then they'll get away with it if G2 or Sen get top 2. So if 100 Thieves get third, then they will be at 10 points. And as long as one of G2 and Sen make the finals, and therefore 2 other teams don't qualify ahead of them based on making the finals, then 100 Thieves will make it. So it is kind of complicated, I'm not going to lie. It's not the most easy to understand system that Riot have cooked up this year. But the bottom line is, we go into the playoffs, and there are still tons of teams that can qualify for the World Championship, some of which may do so by making it to the finals, some of which may not make the finals, but it could still be enough based on various other permutations. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.